All right. All right. So let's everybody start off with our ball. And you won't be able to see my head. And then once you'll be able to see my feet, we're going to start by rolling the feet. And if you take the space, think of the space between the ball of your foot and the heel of the foot. So if this is my foot, I'm going to go from here back to here. So this is my heel. This is the ball. I'm going to explore all that space. So imagine your foot as the palm of your hand. And you're rolling the ball all around the ball of your hand, or the ball of your, sorry, the palm of your foot. So many little nerve endings in there, and then what we're going to try to target is all those little joint connections, and we're hitting the fascia layer, right, the plantar fascia. Try to loosen that up so that we can really move our feet and spread those joints and gets everything in there functioning the way it should. All right. We're just going to do what rolling 2 minutes on each foot, and then we're going to do a little bit of a pin and stretch on each foot, and then we'll move up the body. Okay. So go from this way. You can see that my ball's way out the outside, kind of sticking out the side of my outside my foot. I really want to get that outside edge from the pinky toe all the way down to that heel. And I'm doing it, notice, a little bit with my toes relaxed, a little bit with my toes pulled up, trying both positions. And then on the other side, I'm going to get that ball into that arch space. So I'm going to turn my big toe down, kind of roll that ball in there, back and forth. You can kind of see from the side here, going right up the middle as well. And how much pressure you put in here, completely up to you. All right? When you're rolling, you don't want to roll so hard you're taking your breath away. You want to keep that breath. And our breath is a very important aspect of this. So imagine you're inhaling, and then on the exhale, sending away any tight spots or adhesions that we feel. All right, so now on that same foot, staying on that same foot, we're just going to rock forward onto the ball, maybe wiggle the toes a little bit, rock off. Then find a new spot. Rock onto the ball, wiggle the toes a little bit, rock off. So I call this polka dotting the foot. We're in that same space between the heel and the ball, still in the same palm, think of it as palm of your foot. And what we're doing is just kind of pinning any tight spots, and then once we find that tight spot, really trying to lift and extend the toes, and that allows that stretch, right? So we're pinning the adhesions and then allowing that stretch out of that space. So just rock on, move the toes, rock off, right? Rock on, move the toes, rock off, and rock on, move the toes, rock off. Good. And this same foot, one more exercise. Now we're going to put the ball right here, right in the ball of the foot. Okay, so right in the center, and you're going to push down, and imagine you're going to grab that ball and pick it up. I'm going to hold, and then I want you to throw the ball away. So when you throw it away, right, you send the ball of the foot down, you lift and spread the fingers, and that's what we're going to do with our toes. Okay, curl them, pick it up, throw it away. Good. Pick up the ball, throw it away. And just do this about 4 or 5 more times. Pick up the ball, crunch those toes up, and then throw it away. Press them down and spread them wide. And pick that ball up and throw it away. And one more time, pick that ball up and throw it away. Right? So shake out that foot. Right? We're shaking out not just from the knee, not just from the ankle, but from the entire hip. Give it a good shake out. And then just go back and forth from one side to the other. How does that whole leg feel? Not just the foot, but hold the whole leg. And one easy way to just test that difference is to find one leg balance on the side you just rolled. Right? How does that feel versus the side you haven't rolled? Right? So this foot that you rolled, that foot should just feel more awake and alive. Like you have different parts of your foot that are going to help with your balance there. What you haven't rolled, just tighter as a weight. My balance is just much more wobbly on that side than the side I just rolled. All right, let's switch. All right, same thing on the other foot. Turn this way. Right? Ball the foot to heel. And think of the 3 zones, right? In that palm, we have that outside edge, up by our pinky, our middle, right there, up and down the middle, and then on our palm, it's out by our thumb side. But think of that big toe side. Exploring those 3 zones, vertical zones in the foot. All right? Back and forth. You control the pressure. Big inhales and exhales. Little the toes up, little the toes down. Go this way, you can kind of see how I got that ball in that arch space, toes down. And I got the ball out on that pinky toe side, that outer edge, way down by the heel and way up by the ball of the foot. Right, and then we're just gonna poke it up. So I'm gonna find a spot, rock on, wiggle the toes, rock off. Find a spot, rock onto the ball, wiggle the toes, rock off. And use what you learned in your rolling. Maybe you found a couple spots that were super, super tight. Target those spots as we do our polka dotting here. Rock on, wiggle, walk off, and back and forth here. Do about 4 or 5 more. And rock off. Really try to wiggle the toes as much as you can, and also allow that foot just to kind of wrap around the ball as you step onto it, and then rock off and rock onto it. Allow that foot to just kind of meld around the ball, rock off, rock on, and rock off, and rock on, and rock off. Good. Shake out the legs. Right, and now our same thing on that side. Pick up the ball, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, and then throw it away. Right, and pick it up, pick it up, pick it up, and throw it away. Right, so crunching the ball, crunching the toes, grabbing the ball, and then throwing away. Ball of your foot into the ball, and then lift and spread the toes. Crunch and pick up the ball, throw it away. Good, let's do about 4 more. Crunch and pick up the ball, throw it away, and crunch and pick up the ball, throw it away, and 2 more. Crunch and pick up the ball, and last one. Good, and then shake out both of those legs. Right, now do that little one-legged balance and see what the difference is, right? Again, foot much more awake, responsive, right? As well as the muscles all the way up into the hips, more awake and responsive. Even the little muscles around the knees, you should feel those kind of awake and alive here. Find that balance. Good. All right, so we're going to put the ball to the side just for a sec as we stretch the feet. So we roll the feet. What we want to do here in our class is basically roll and wake up that myofascia, and then we're going to stretch the areas that we rolled. So we're going to focus on the feet first. And what I want to do, I have my wall right in front of me. Staggered stance, we're focusing on that back foot. So my hands are on the wall right at my chest height. My toes, bottom toes into the floor. Heel, I'm going to imagine somebody's picking my heel up by a string. It's going straight up to the ceiling. I'm going to tuck my tailbone and press that hip forward. So I'm here. Big inhale, exhale, and I'm pushing my toes into the floor. And then I imagine my heel reaching up to the ceiling, and then I'm pushing forward with my hands. So inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good. Now we're going to flip it. I'm going to take the tops of my toes onto the floor. And imagine those going down as I imagine the front of my ankle. So this space right here is going to go forward the wall. So toes into the floor, front of the ankle forward, tailbone tucked. Good. We're going to go back to bottom of the foot stretch. So bottoms of toes into the floor, heel up, press forward. Let's do 2 breaths this time. Big inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, and switch it. Top of the foot, forward, toes in the floor, 2 breaths. Good, and now we're gonna go a little bit of a calf stretch. So again, toes pointed forward. I don't want to be spun open here. All 10 toes pointed forward. We're gonna start with heel down into the floor. My knee's gonna be straight to start, tailbone tucked, hips forward. Big inhales and exhales. So we're getting a little bit of a hip flexor lengthening as well as a stretch into that ankle and calf. 3 breaths. And then we're just going to slowly bend that knee. So think about the knee going down towards the toes. Heel stays on the floor. And just going down as much as it within your range, working on that ankle mobility. Stretching the calf into the Achilles. Good. And go ahead and shake that out. And we'll switch it to the other side. So starting with the bottom of the foot first, toes in the floor, heel up to the ceiling. 3 breaths. Good. And tops of the toes into the floor. Front of the ankle forward. And let's go back. Let's do 2 more breaths. Toes down, heel up. And tops of the toes down, front of the ankle forward, 2 breaths. Good, and let's go heel down to the floor. Tailbone tucked, hip crease forward, knees straight to start, 3 breaths. And let's slowly keeping that heel on the floor, bend that knee, just staying within your range. Good, all right, and shake that out a little bit. Next up, we're gonna move into those hip areas. So grabbing your ball, I'm gonna pick up the camera just a little bit, okay? So we're gonna start in the glutes. So remember our bony landmark, which is the top of our pelvis, right? We're gonna get to that in just a sec. Right now, we're just gonna hit that glute muscle. So biggest part of the glutes, put the ball there, and we're gonna go a little horizontal movement, right? From the tailbone out to the hip. Remember, we're not rolling the bones. We're staying on the muscles and soft tissues. So think of that space. This is lower glute. So think of that glute max, the medius part, biggest muscle in the body right there. Okay, so just doing a little horizontal. Move the ball up and down a little bit. We're going to stay out of that high glute space right now. We're going to target that next. Just staying in that glute max. And then you can switch from side to side, right? And again, I'm going from, you can feel that ball and socket joint, right? Kind of deep in there, and then scooch it from there in towards that tailbone, right? From that outside ball and socket joint in towards that tailbone on a horizontal, maybe even a little bit of a diagonal pattern here, right? So do that a couple times on each side. Right? Maybe horizontal to a little bit of a diagonal pattern, trying to go kind of in line with the muscle fibers, which run in a diagonal pattern here in the glute max. And then I want you to target deep in there. You can feel the backside of that ball and socket joint. So we don't want to roll the joint itself, But think of it nuzzling right up next to that ball and socket joint. So this is my ball and socket joint. I kind of take my ball and just kind of roll around it, right? Maybe it's a little circle, there's a little half circle. You can target those little soft tissues around that space. Right? Still down in that glute max. So many little muscles that crisscross and interconnect here at that hip space here. Good, and just do the other side. So we're just rotating between sides. Remember, you know your body better than anyone else, right? So feel it, listen to it, give it what it needs. All right, if you need to spend more time on one side than the other, please, please, please do. All right, just rolling around that space, that hip. All right, now we're going to move up to where that bony landmark is. So find it there with your thumb, right there, the rim of the pelvis. And you're going to put the ball right below the rim. And we're going to start on the back side. So find your rim of your pelvis and then find where your spine is. And we're going to start there and roll out towards the hip. Right in there. So think right underneath the rim of that pelvis. Right? And you're going to kind of nuzzle the ball. So if this is the rim of my pelvis, I kind of nuzzle the ball right around here. Right? Just moving it horizontal. Staying below the rim. Big inhales and exhales. This is a glute med space, right? So we did glute max. Now we're targeting the glute med. All right, this is the little muscle, much smaller than the glute max, but this one tends to overwork, want to do work that the glute max is not doing. So if you're finding a lot of tenderness and tightness in this space, that is one clue that your glute med might be trying to overwork, trying to do a little bit more than it should. And maybe we need to find exercises to get that glute max a little more active. Good. So staying right in here, just go, like I said, go back and forth between each side. And then what we're going to find next is right here on the side. So I'm going to find again my top of my pelvis, and then down below my ball and socket joint. And what I'm going to do is take the ball right there on that side and explore that space. Okay, so right there on the side, I'm right in this space, going up, down, maybe a little forward, back. So from right here, here's my ball and socket joint, to up here, about a width of my hand here, from my thumb to my long fingertip, that whole space. I'm exploring this with the ball. Okay? And we're just going to be here maybe just under a minute. You find a tight spot in here. You can always take that inside arm, reach it up to the ceiling, and then lengthen away. And what we're doing here is a little pin and stretch. So if you have a tight spot, think about reaching that hand up nice and tall, climb the ladder, and then reaching over as you kind of push in the ball. And then what we're doing is pinning that adhesion and stretching out of that point. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And inhale, exhale. Good. All right. So we rolled our hips, rolled our feet, stretched our calves a little bit. Now I'm going to move the camera. You can see me there. Okay. And we're going to come down to the mat. And we're going to stretch, focusing on the hips and hamstrings today. We're going to come down to the floor. And we're going to come down first into a half kneel. So a half kneel is one knee down, one knee up. Both knees are at 90 degrees. And what we're going to do is target that down leg, target that hip flexor, and then the front leg, we're going to target the hamstring. But first, we're going to target that hip flexor. So we're going to take that Down leg side, that arm's gonna climb the ladder to reach up, reach up, reach up, really trying to lengthen up to the ceiling, and then we're gonna come forward, right? So as we come forward, we're just tucking the tailbone. That's key. You wanna keep that tailbone tucked. You don't want it, your pelvis to be in a forward tilted position, so you don't wanna be here. You wanna tuck that tailbone tight and then just press forward as you lengthen, right? 3 breaths. Good, and then keeping that tailbone tucked, take that arm, grab the outside of your knee, and you're just gonna pull yourself around a little bit. But notice as I pull myself around, my shoulders are turning, but my hips stay forward. So again, getting that nice stretch on that down leg side. 3 breaths here. Good, now this leg, we're gonna target the hamstrings. So we're gonna go heel away, toes come back, and it's a hinge. So I'm gonna imagine if somebody grabbed or just kind of stuck their fingers in that hip crease and pushed back, and my head comes forward. So my hands can come to my leg, they can come to the floor. What I'm doing is reaching my heel away, toe back, lengthening through those hamstrings. 3 breaths. Good, and we're gonna come up and switch sides, and you'll be able to see that hip flexor stretch a little bit better here. Remember, we want to keep that tailbone tucked. We don't want to be here with the pelvis dumping forward, right? We want that pelvis tucked under, so make sure that tailbone is tucked. Glute tight. Reach the down leg, arm up, 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 climb that ladder. Reach up high first, and then come forward. And continue to reach up high, and continue to come forward. And reach up high, and come forward. And one more time. Good, and then coming back, heel down, toe back. Remember, hip crease, pulls back, chest comes down. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And inhale, exhale. Good. From that half kneel, we're going to go into a full kneel and then come down to all fours. So we're going to come into what looks like our quadruped pose. Belly button's pulled in, back flat, tailbone tucked, and you can go ahead and tuck your toes here. But we're not going to stay with the hands here. We're going to bring them forward to the front of the mat and really keeping that belly button engaged. That's key. We're going to now go back hip to heel. All right, so we're just going to do these little rockers here. We don't have a lot of weight in the hands, just a little bit. Think about inhale as you come forward. Exhale as you rock back. So we're getting a little bit of that hip pattern, right? That squatting pattern, hip to heel pattern. We're also getting a little stretch at the bottom of the feet if we have the toes tucked. Inhale forward. Exhale back. Keeping that back nice and flat. Inhale forward, exhale back. 2 more. Good. Now, I'm going to turn this way so you can see me. I'm going to extend one leg out, right? So that leg extends straight out from the hip. My back toe is still tucked, hands still forward to my shoulders, and now I'm going back hip to heel. Keeping this long leg, keeping that foot down, getting a nice stretch on the adductors, those inner thigh muscles. So same thing, inhale as you rock forward, exhale as you rock back. Just do a couple more here. Good. And we're going to switch. So leg straight out, foot flat, toe tucked on that back foot. And we're rocking hip to heel. So I turn this way so you can see what it looks like here. That nice inner thigh stretch. And let's just do 2 more. Good. Now from here, we're going to roll over onto our back. And this is where you would need your sweatshirt, your towel, your yoga strap, whatever it is you have. We're going to use that here, right? So coming down onto our back, we're going to hit the hamstrings. Right? So using your towel, strap, whatever you have, whatever it's a towel, just roll it up, right? And you're going to put it around one foot, right? And that foot, you want to think heel over hip, or as close to that position as you can get. The other leg can be bent here, or it can be extended forward, get a nice little hip flexor lengthening. If that doesn't feel good to you, go ahead and bend that knee back up, right? So we're here, heel to the ceiling, toes your nose. And what the other thing I want you to think is that hip, the back of your hip, is pressing down into the floor, and in opposition, the heel reaching up to the ceiling. All right, so now you're going to use that towel or strap, whatever you have, to just tug that leg just a little bit closer to your face so you feel that tension and that nice stretch through the hamstring. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And inhale, exhale. Good. Now, using that strap to help you, you're going to take that leg out to the side. All right, find it, hold it there with the strap, and then use the strap if you can. Maybe pull it up a little bit towards your face if that feels good. And hold that stretch there. Good, and then still holding the weight of the leg with the strap. What I want you to do is do a rotation. So notice my toe goes up to the ceiling, and then I'm going to rotate it open down to the floor. So up to the ceiling, rotating down to the floor. So we're getting that rotation. We're trying to get that rotation to come from that hip joint here. So up, and then rotate back, and focusing on that outer hamstring here. And those rotational muscles, just trying to get that movement into that hip joint. You want those fluids to get in there. Just think of rotating. My hip is still in with the mat, right? Could be a little movement here. Doesn't have to be a big one. Just think about if somebody got you by the heel and just kind of twisting your foot. Good. Now come back to center. So I'm heel over hip again. Now I'm going to take my big toe and turn it towards the center of my body. So on this one, really, really important. Imagine the back of your hip, and you can even use your free hand here. Kind of shove your fingers into that space. So I want you to think about pressing your hips into your fingers. Now you're going to let that leg come across the body, but not so much that your hip pulls off of your hand. Okay, so you got those fingers back there. Get those fingers squished. Let the leg come across, but don't let the hip lift. Now we're getting a nice stretch in that outer hamstring. So 3 breaths. And you can use the band to kind of tug your leg up towards your face if you need it. Get a little deeper into the stretch. Good, and come back to center. Back hip, or sorry, heel over hip. And what we're going to do here is just a little hamstring floss. So I'm going to bend the knee, And then don't think about straightening the knee, instead think opposition. So I'm going to bend my knee, and then I'm going to think hip down, heel up. A little bend, hip down, heel up. Just do a few more here. Get a nice lengthening through the hamstrings. Good. Same leg. Bend that other leg up, cross it over, finding our reclined position here. And you can take that strap off. Reach, pull it through. So we just stretch the hamstring. Now we're targeting the hip on the same side, and I can rock a little side to side here. Right? So inhales, exhales. Inhales, exhales. Inhales, exhales. Good. So now the bottom of your foot, on your foot that's closest to your face, you're going to bring that to the floor on the opposite side of your body. So notice my legs are in that same number 4 position. Right? So now the bottom foot is on the floor. And I'm going to push against that inside of the knee, push it away from my face just a touch. At the same time, rotating my hip back. Now we're stretching that outer hip a little bit into the front of the hip, into what's called your TFL. Okay, so focus again, hips and hamstrings. Big inhales and exhales. So imagine if you're putting your hand in the front pocket. That's where you should feel the stretch right here. Good. When you're ready, come back to center and then unfold. Good. Shake out the legs a little bit, and we're going to switch. Okay. So around one foot. Now remember that knee, that other leg can stay bent, or you can go straight out. We're thinking hips or heel over hip. Give it a little tug. Breathe, rest. Good. And then you're going to take it out to the side. Same side. Let that strap kind of hold the weight of your leg here. Pull your toes towards your shin. And then we're going to do those rotations. So I'm going to go toes up to the ceiling, toes down to the floor. And you could do it with your leg out here. You could do it with your leg up here. Whatever works. You're going to use the towel or strap to kind of hold up the weight of the leg a little bit, and then that allows you just to focus on the rotation. Just in and out. Again, remember, pretend somebody's grabbing you by the heel and just kind of rotating. Good. And then coming back to your center. And we're going to rotate the big toe in. And we're going to squish those fingers. So find those fingers in the back of that hip. Keep them squished as you take your leg across. So in other words, I'm not rotating off like this, right? To the back of my hip on the floor. So I'm going to guide that leg across using my towel or my strap. 3 big breaths. And coming back to center, think again, heel over hip, and then do that little flop. So knee bend, and then reach the heel up, press the hip down. Knee bends, hip down, heel up, going in opposite directions. Knee bent, opposite. Think active stretch here. And just do 3 more. Good. Now, bending that other leg, crossing over, finding that number 4, reaching, grabbing the back of that thigh, rocking a little side to side. Again, targeting the outside of that hip. Good. And then keeping that same leg arrangement, we're going to go bottom of your foot to the floor. And then we're going to think about rotating this hip open as I press the knee away from my face. Big inhales and exhales. Inhales and exhales. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Grabbing that top leg, coming back to center. And now we're going to release, bring both feet down the mat. And we're going to finish in a little happy baby here. So bringing both knees in, give a little hug. And before you reach up to grab your feet, I want you to think about your tailbone. And think about that tailbone kind of pressing actively down into the floor as you pull your knees into your chest. Okay? Now using your strap or just your hands, you reach up either inside the knees or outside, whatever works best for you, and find happy baby. So in happy baby, bottoms of the feet parallel to the floor, thighs as parallel to the floor as you can get them. I like to put the elbows inside the knees. Some people like to go outside. You can add a little rock side to side. And again, actively pressing your tailbone down into your mat here. You can reach up, grab the inside big toe, or you can reach up and grab the outside pinky toe. Or you can use your strap. Another option is to straighten one leg as you keep the other bent. Or if you have the mobility, straighten both legs while hanging on. And adding that side to side rock. Good. And come back to grabbing behind the knees. Tailbone in the mat. And then bring your feet down to the floor. So we're just going to finish here with the breath. And you can stay here, knees bent, feet flat. You can go until legs extended. You can let the inside of your knees fall together, feet a little bit further apart. Whatever feels good and relaxing to you. We're just going to focus on the breath here. So arms out in a comfortable position. On the inhale, we want to think about belly first. So we're going to take that inhale into the belly. And then continue the inhale into the diaphragm, the space between the ribs and your belly. And then continue that breath into the lungs and ribs, expanding as much as you can. And then with the exhale, we're reversing that. So starting with the lungs, sending the air out and down through the diaphragm, into the belly, pulling the belly button to the spine, pulling the pelvic floor up to your center, and getting all the breath out. Before taking it again, big inhale, belly, diaphragm, lungs, and ribs. And exhale. So I encourage you to just do 3 more of those breaths here. And then whenever you're ready, bring your knees into your chest. You can just pick your right or left side, roll over to your side, and press your way up. And that's our class for today. Encourage you to spend some more time on that breath and our stretch and rolling the feet. A little bit every day makes a big difference with the mobility of your feet and your legs. I'll see you again on Wednesday. Have a great day, everybody.